On Sunday, April 12th, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner will meet in the finals of the 2026 Rolex Monte-Carlo Masters. Surprisingly, this will be the first matchup between these two rivals in 2026, and it's set to take place at one of the most beautiful venues in the sport, Monte Carlo Country Club. Sinner hasn't beaten Alcaraz on clay since 2022, and the Spaniard hasn't lost a clay court match since last year's 500 final in Barcelona. However, if you include the 2025 Six Kings Slam, Sinner does have 2 consecutive wins over Alcaraz. That said, the Italian should enter this match with plenty of confidence. Keep reading for our thoughts on how this one will go down. I also post more tennis predictions on the VCN Picks page. So, keep checking that page every couple of hours if you want more of my picks. I'll also post plays for smaller tournaments on that page. Carlos Alcaraz vs. Jannik Sinner odds. Odds from DraftKings Sportsbook accurate as of Saturday, April 11th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Shop around for the best prices. Moneyline, Sinner -115, Alcaraz -106. Spread, Sinner -1.5 games, +100, Alcaraz +1.5 games, -150. Total, over 22.5 games, -120, under 22.5 games, -120. How to watch Carlos Alcaraz vs. Jannik Sinner. Where Monte Carlo Country Club in Monaco. When Sunday, April 12th. Channel, Tennis Channel/Tennis Channel app. Carlos Alcaraz vs. Jannik Sinner prediction. Before this tournament started, I gave out Sinner to win Monte Carlo at +130 odds. If you tailed me on that, I'd suggest sitting this out and hoping the Italian finds a way to cross the finish line. However, for anyone that didn't jump on that future, I still think backing Sinner is the way to go on Sunday. In looking at some of the early line movement here, it's clear that sharp bettors pounced on Sinner. Our VCN tennis betting splits show that Alcaraz, who opened as a -124 favorite at DraftKings, is now -106 despite only a third of the bets and handle being on Sinner. That means that respected money drove the pricing change. Now, that does seem to be a theme when these two play. Sharp bettors seem to prefer Sinner, which could have to do with how much easier he makes things look leading up to the finals. However, Alcaraz does have a head-to-head edge over the Italian, so the sharps haven't had too much success predicting this rivalry. But I do think that siding with the sharps is going to be profitable more often than not. The line movement is only part of the story, though. There's also the fact that Sinner has been the best server in tennis in 2026, and the more accurate server tends to win when these two square off. That said, if Sinner can continue to paint lines with the ball on his racket, he should be able to run through his service games, whether that's due to serving up unreturnables or setting up +1 winners. Ever since these two met at Roland Garros last year, Sinner has been much better and bolder when looking to crank winners, or simply get Alcaraz off the court. Speaking of Roland Garros, while Alcaraz did come back to win that match in an epic 5-setter, it's still hard to ignore that Sinner had 3 championship points on Alcaraz's serve, then an opportunity to serve out the championship in the 4th set. Had he done that, we'd be talking about Sinner having won 3 of the last 5 between these two, and 4 of the last 6 if you count the Six Kings Slam. That certainly would have done a decent job of changing the narrative surrounding Alcaraz's 10-6 record against the Italian. This is viewed as a lopsided rivalry, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Sinner is also playing for the opportunity to take back the world #1 ranking, which is something that Alcaraz expects to drop in the near future. "To be honest, I'm going to lose world #1, said Alcaraz after defeating Sebastian Baez earlier in this tournament. On top of that, after Alcaraz's loss to Sebastian Corda at the Miami Open, the Spaniard was pretty open about needing time to reset and feel an itch to get back on the court. Well, those are statements that make it hard to believe Alcaraz is fully there mentally. And if he's not completely dialed in here, Sinner will pounce and find a way to win. I'll also note that Sinner has been fine-tuning his game to be a little more dangerous on the dirt. That's something that began last year, and the process has only continued in 2026. We have seen the Italian play more drop shots in Monte Carlo, and he was already beginning to play with a little more shape as he won the Sunshine Double. He now needs to just put it all together against the top clay court player in the world. It will undoubtedly be difficult, but it's only a matter of time before Sinner gets him on the dirt. One last thing you'll want to know is that there's a chance the weather is ugly, but the forecast in the area calls for coolish temperatures over the next couple of days. And as long as Sinner doesn't have to deal with playing in hot, sunny conditions, he shouldn't be bothered by some of the physical issues he has had in big matches.